ну нахуй, пизда, Бурыч, смотри. Мы попали, вот это аттракцион, блядь.
So before I get into the good news, well, last night here in Kyiv, we had about a 9-hour missile and drone attack with Russians sending, apparently, according to defense forces, around 650 missiles and drones, mainly targeting what they always target, residential neighborhoods, hospitals, schools, purely civilian infrastructure. As you can see, more scenes of devastation. One entire street was pretty much wiped out, several Shahed drone strikes. I know this particular street. This is a family street, as are all of these. I know people are mainly desensitized to seeing these images of destruction from Ukraine, but I feel obligated to sort of run through them for a second. This is what we saw in the metro stations last night as the city sat in either basements or metro stations. It wasn't only Kyiv that was hit last night, it was Zaporizhia and Odessa, and as well as Sumy that were all targeted. And I'll read a statement from the Prime Minister. Prime Minister said a 12-year-old girl is among the 4 dead this morning in Kyiv after another Russian missile and drone attack on the people of Ukraine. In Kyiv, residential buildings, healthcare facilities, and civilian infrastructure were targeted. Similar attacks were carried out in Zaporizhia, Sumy, and Odessa, where civilian areas and enterprises were damaged. And then she goes on to make a statement in asking for more air defenses, which Ukraine still, 3.5 years into this, still clearly lacks, which is incredible. And then I wrote here, apartment buildings, hospitals, and schools were once again Russia's primary targets in last night's attack on Ukraine's cities. And once again, children are dead while the civilized world coddles Putin's delicate feels, afraid to let Ukraine eliminate the, quote, root cause. As you can see, it's just one of many apartment buildings targeted last night. And these are dead hits. This is how it is. If you haven't been to Ukraine, you should come over here and you should see this for yourself. It'll change your whole worldview, your whole view of humanity, your view of Russians. You'll question whether some people are actually people at all. Imagine sending a missile into a building full of sleeping families. I mean, could you as a human being, can you imagine doing that as a job, taking money to do that, then going out and having beers with your friends or whatever it is, whatever the F that Russians do with their spare time? Here's a Kyiv suburb this morning, one of the many residential areas targeted by Russians in last night's missile and drone attack. I know this street. This is a family street. These are buildings full of families. And the death toll is not even in yet. There's still rescue efforts going on all over the city in 5 districts of Kyiv right now. But enough of the bad news. Now on to the good news, what this channel is really all about. 2 months in, and we are mainly focused here on the collapsing Russian economy, the fledgling USSR 2.0 project going to hell. We have Russia's fuel crisis continuing to spiral, with the far-off region of Khabarovsk Krai now engulfed in gasoline madness, with residents violating the new laws forbidding the filling of canisters. Lines are now a day long at the few fuel stations that still have supply. And this is a member of the new gasoline Gestapo accosting an unsuspecting Russian that is violating the law on filling his canister. There's a quota system now, 10 to 15 liters per gallon. She goes around and slyly films his license plate just to let him know who's boss. I mean, by the end of this, there's going to be like a gasoline NKVD, and these people are going to be turned in. There's probably going to be like a gasoline gulag archipelago, where punitive measures are doled out on the violators. And as you can see, the gasoline lines are only getting worse. We've got people waiting for over a day in line now. But to remember, this is Khabarovsk Krai. This is on the Pacific Ocean, but the Pacific coast of Russia, which is closer to the United States than it is to Ukraine. And some of these gas lines, some of these videos are like 7 minutes long with just... I mean, it's just wild. It's every region of Russia now is getting this. Just worse and worse. Gasoline lines Russians flocking to social media and posting videos about their particular region, and our region's worse than yours. No, our region's worse. And then the government trying to alleviate the situation, coming out with all sorts of reasons why they have this problem, never mentioning Ukrainian strikes on the oil refineries. It's always, right now it's tourism. That's what Khabarovsk's cry. First they were blaming it on, made a video about it earlier, they were blaming it on the fishermen had used all the gasoline for the, quote, fishing season. And then they blamed it on a heavy tourist season because, you know, as you know, tourists are just flocking to these remote regions of Russia to enjoy their holidays. The Kremlin's fuel is what I wrote this morning. The Kremlin's fuel crisis now becoming unmanageable as the few stations that still have gasoline are now charging the equivalent of US $4.52 per gallon, $4.52 per gallon. As you can see, it now costs half the median monthly salary to fill a tank. Crimea this morning. This is Russian-occupied Crimea. As you can see, 99 rubles for 95 octane gas. And I went ahead and did the math for you on that because I know in my comments last time there was a big ruckus about. So I broke it down. ChatGPT. I wrote. Here's the math. At 99 rubles, gasoline in Crimea is now 4.52 per gallon, which is roughly plus 50% more than the average price in the U.S. And I went ahead and found the average price for today, and I'll show that to you in a second from the AAA website. And we have the U.S. gallon right here at $3.19 per gallon. Just remember that the median Russian salary is only about $250 a month. So it's not like, you live in California, maybe you're paying $5 for gasoline, but it's no problem for you to buy 10 gallons of gasoline. That's not a big deal for you. In Russia, that's a very, very, very big deal. Lukoil has restricted fuel sales in canisters and with fuel coupons across its network. That's one of the largest fuel chains in Russia. They're absolutely everywhere. Across its network and its subsidiary, Taboil. Yeah, what an unattractive name. Gasoline shortages have also begun in Moscow and the Moscow region. And so, yeah, they just have no prices here. Well, they've got diesel, but nothing else, no other grades of gasoline. And signs on windows. They're just closing these shops because they have nothing to sell. And on to the propaganda front. We've got yesterday, old horseface Lavrov standing in front of the UN. I'll read you what I wrote. Among the mountains of lies, Russia's foreign minister told the UN yesterday, Russian language is banned in Ukraine. Total nonsense. But try to speak Ukrainian in any Russian-occupied area of Ukraine and being tortured to death is highly likely. I won't even play you the clip. It's the normal lies. But basically, he said, Arabic is not banned in Israel. Hebrew is not banned in Arab countries and Iran. But in Ukraine, Russia is banned. Look, I speak Russian. I know dozens and dozens of people that speak Russian. You can speak Russian anywhere you want in Ukraine. That's what colonialism is all about. There's generations of people that really grew up speaking Russian. That's the way it is. And people would prefer you speak Ukrainian in general, but going back and forth between Russian and Ukrainian is not a problem in Ukraine. Some people don't like it, of course, because I mean, who likes anything Russian? But it's a blatant false statement in front of the UN, using the UN as a platform for their propaganda, which is what Russia has always done. So further on the propaganda front, there's a tweet that, I think we all grew up with John Cleese. I love it when John Cleese pushes my stuff. He's been doing it regularly lately, and it's pretty cool. I mean, we all grew up with Monty Python, right? And he rightfully cites a tweet that I wrote, what is this if not treason? He is referring to the former leader of the Reform UK party in Wales, Nathan Gill, has pleaded guilty to being paid by Russia to promote propaganda. 8 counts of bribery while an elected member of the European Parliament. And that made me think of guys like Nigel Farage, who, if I play, okay, I'm gonna play you this clip right here. And I said here, anyone that still hasn't figured out that Nigel Farage is working for the Russians is an effing moron. Now listen to this, and if you can disagree with me, I got some bridges for you here. Let me turn it up. I don't know if the volume goes through on this. This guy's an absolute piece of work.
Ever seeking to expand, desire to arm the rebels.
I mean, but basically, it's a series of Kremlin propaganda talking points, like it was drafted in the Kremlin and handed to this guy. But for context, you can Google this yourself. In the run-up to World War II, members of U.S. Congress were being paid out of the German embassy in Washington D.C. Around a dozen U.S. Congress members were being paid by the Nazi government in order to read Nazi propaganda on the floor of the U.S. Congress. There's a whole Wikipedia entry about it. Some people went to jail about it. So there is precedent for this, and it is happening 100%. It's happening in Europe. It's happening in the United States. And just listen to this ASS. I don't know if I can swear on Twitter. I don't know what the rules here yet.
Unnecessary
just listen to this.
Of Vladimir Putin. This EU empire, ever seeking to expand, stated its territorial claim on the Ukraine some years ago. Just to make that worse, of course, some NATO members said they too would like the Ukraine to join NATO.
The Ukraine, like it's a territory of no blast of Moscow.
That led to the toppling of the president, Yanukovych.
Okay.
And that led, of course, in turn, to Vladimir Putin reacting.
Okay, so I was in Ukraine during Maidan, and I can tell you that every grandmother was making cookies. Everybody was on Maidan. Yanukovych looted the country into oblivion, as Russian-backed dictators always do, as Viktor Orban is now doing to Hungary. And it was no, whatever, color revolution, BS. This is, Farage, in my opinion, was 100% being paid to say all these things.
And the moral of the story is, if you poke the Russian bear with a stick, don't be surprised when he reacts.
So Kremlin talking point after Kremlin talking point from Nigel Farage. That's the Moldovan elections happening right now. It's a pivotal point for Europe today. We have Moldova. Russians have poured, I'll read you what I wrote. After hundreds of millions and an incredible amount of intelligence and sabotage efforts to seize control of the Moldovan government, Russia appears to now sense that their operations have failed, with the country's election infrastructure now under massive cyber attack. This is about 2 hours ago. Moldova has blocked 4,000 websites in an attempt to neutralize the constant cyber attacks the institutions have been battling, including one on the Electoral Commission website with 16 million simultaneous sessions. Yeah, the Russians are pretty good at that hacking stuff. Yeah, they did it in Romania. They tried to do it in Moldova, unsuccessful, and now they're back in Moldova again. But this is really, if Putin loses this one, the estimates are they've spent around 200 million euros swinging this small nation. I mean, yeah, things are getting crazy. So we'll have in about 7 hours, we'll have the first results, and all eyes should be on this election. A reminder that despite the Russian-backed kleptocrat Viktor Orban having now looted Hungary into its new position as poorest nation in the EU, he and his entire circle live like golden czars, with Orban himself now having stolen a 50 million euro palace. That's the estimated value. They own all the hotel chains. Anyways, just videos. He's got like zebras. It's like, I think all these dictators just watched Scarface maybe when they were like teenagers, and ever since then it's just been about getting zebras. And what wildebeests? It snows in Hungary. They're getting lions, and I don't know if they're feeding their political opponents to them or what. Look at this place. It's poverty and Russian-backed dictators. They go hand in hand. So I'll leave you guys with Viktor Orban and his zebra collection for another day. And thanks for watching.